Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen's March 11, 2019 meeting. Could everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Public announcements. Jim.
Yeah, I got a couple. On March 14th and 15th at 7:30 and March 16th at 2 p.m., the Abington High School drama team will be presenting the play Grease. You can buy tickets at showtix.com. The other announcement I have is the compost site is in need of volunteers. The site is open on Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. during the months of April through November. If you're interested, please access the website or call the health department at 781-982-2119. That's 781-982-2119. Thank you.
Tim?
Thank you. The Abington Garden Club will meet Monday, March 18, 2019 at the Parish Hall of the United Church of Christ. A luncheon at noon will follow a brief club meeting at 1. Michelle Lord, floral designer from the Boston Museum of Fine Arts, will present Art in Bloom, a floral interpretation of a museum masterpiece. Guests are welcome for a $5 donation. Also, congratulations go out to the Abington High School boys basketball team. They won the Division IV South Sectional Championship over the weekend, and tomorrow afternoon they play in the Eastern Mass Championship at the TD Garden. So if you're available tomorrow afternoon, tickets are $15, and they'll be available at the door at the Garden.
Awesome. A lot of things going on at the Abington Public Library. Actually, it's too much to mention, and we'll be here till midnight. Just go, abingtonpl.org is the Abington Public Library. They have Celtic music this Saturday, book readings, drop-in book discussions, Families in Film with Frank Mendoza, all kinds of things going on for the rest of the month and the beginning of April. So please visit abingtonpl.org to find out more about that. Yep.
From the Abington Greenway Boosters, Teamwork Trivia with DJ Mr. Ed as the host, Saturday, March 23rd, 7 to 11. First question is at 7:30. It's at the Knights of Columbus Hall, 254 Hancock Street, Abington. Cost is $25 per person, $250 per table. 10 seats to a table, adults only. They will have a cash bar, raffles, 50-50, championship trophy, and prizes for the winning team. Please help Abington Greenway Boosters support sub-varsity athletics at the Abington High School. For further information or to reserve a table, contact Mary Rogers at h3jrmr@aol.com or 781-223-8281. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Two announcements. One is a reminder for everyone that this Sunday at 1 o'clock is the 40th anniversary of the Abington St. Patrick's Day Parade. Kickoff is on Washington Street. It should be a great day. The weather is looking good right now, so I encourage everyone to come out and help us celebrate our 40th anniversary of our St. Patrick's Day Parade. The other thing is on April 27th is the annual town elections at the high school. Please come out and support the candidates. They need your support. Please come out and vote. We appreciate it. That's very important to us. Before I do anything further, is there any public comment in the audience? Does anyone want to speak to us before we get forward on our agenda? It's open right now. Does anyone have a comment? I see none. Next thing on our agenda are public appointments. I do not believe we have any public appointments. Dory or Rick, do I miss anything?
Just the underneath the beginning at 6:30, but nothing other than that.
Okay. Starting at 6:30, we have 10th District is requesting amended hours of operation for March 17th. Is anyone here from 10th District? Come on down.
What's going on that day?
No. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Name and address?
Patrick Eddy. I live in Beaver Street in Whitman.
Yep.
10th District is on Washington Street in Abington.
Thank you. What would you like to do?
So typically on Sundays, we are open from 12 to 5. In years past, when we have not, or prior to when we were open on Sundays, we've requested the hours of 11 to 5 for the St. Patrick's Day Parade, and we are busy literally at 11:01. So this year, we wanted to request opening a little earlier and to be open from 10 to 5.
10 to 5. Is there any questions from the board?
Just, do you know what the occupancy is there for that building?
It is on, off the top of my head, I don't. I know it's on a piece of paper
All right,
hanging in the
just,
building.
I've been there on St. Patrick's Day, and it gets pretty crowded, so just be careful, only because the police chief mentioned about the occupancy cannot be exceeded, so you may just get a visit, so I'm just trying to give you the heads up.
Anybody else on the board?
I don't have a question as to the hours, but I do have another question.
Please do.
A lot of people are asking what's going on. Will you be able to talk about?
That tiny little sign on the
Exactly,
building?
people are concerned that you may be moving, or,
We are in the process of planning a move to another location in Abington. We'll be at the zoning meeting this Thursday to discuss a couple of special permits that we would need. And if all goes well, we should be able to announce where we're going by the end of the week. But it is still in Abington.
would it be a bigger?
It would be bigger.
Okay, great. Good luck there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone in the audience have a question regarding this request for a license expansion? I see none. If nothing else, I'll take a motion to approve the amended hours from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. this coming Sunday, March 17th.
I'll make a motion.
I'll
Tim makes a
second.
motion, Tom seconds. Is anything, any public comments?
Obviously, the first one who makes the motion thinks they get a free beer out of it, so I don't know.
There was a fight over that one.
That was Tim.
Was there a fight over that one?
Nope, Tim can have
Anything
it.
further to be said? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous, 5-0. Thank you very much. Good luck. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.
One last question I had for you is in terms of parking, so I know that whole area shuts down at a certain time. Is there any areas that we can recommend to people where they should?
As far, far away as possible from Washington Street that you can.
The town doesn't have any preferred areas with like people to park and walk to the
I
area?
think that's a question for the police
Okay.
department.
We can follow up with them.
And fire department, yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, they'll post two special events.
Your side street and the main street will, the
Right,
main
they
street,
will close
obviously
down.
not. The side street, definitely down, farther down. The
And
center
we just
school,
we want to help communicate that
Maybe the center school might not be a bad.
center school may be a good idea.
out on the hill, okay.
We have bands practice up there.
Perfect, they get entertainment, they have a drink.
So you get to hit the band while you park your car? That's not
The
bad.
bands are in 5.
Maybe not that school, okay.
Maybe the other side.
We'll check with the
Maybe the other
police
side,
and fire as well. and see
I would
what they
appreciate it, but
recommend.
if you could keep it, as you know, those streets pretty much are all occupied for setup for the parade. But if you can keep it deeper down, I would appreciate that.
Okay,
All
will do.
right? Thank you for asking, I
you.
appreciate that. Next is J.P. Rhines. Is there someone here from J.P. Rhines?
Mr. Chairman, Matt Hanley couldn't be here tonight, but he asked me to speak on his behalf if I could.
If you don't mind, please. Dory?
Sure. And he's requesting the same, just the 2-hour earlier opening. Rather than opening at noon, he'd like to open at 10 a.m. and offer brunch. And I spoke with him, and he'll be mindful of the occupancy limits.
And this is nothing that's, I mean, you're able to sell alcohol from 10 o'clock on a Sunday
you are.
anyway, so it's not, you know,
But,
Yes.
you know, we're not outreaching to do this.
No, we're not.
It's a standard practice. Any other comments from the board?
I would make that motion to allow GP Ryan's to open at 10 as well.
There's a motion to allow J.P. Rhines to open at 10 a.m. And Jim seconds it. Is there anything further to be said? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous, 5-0. Thank you very much. It being 6:39, we have to hold a Town of Abington public hearing. The Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Monday, March 11th, at 6:35 in the Carter Hearing Room at 500 Glenards Way on the application of Edward Bonassi, 225 Brockton Avenue, for a Class 2 license for 18 spaces for cars for sale and for a commercial garage license, 4 spaces for cars and repair, 2 custom spaces, 3 employee spaces for a total of 25 spaces outside and 2 spaces inside. Motion to open the meeting.
So moved.
Is it an individual vote, Ken?
You don't really need to make a motion to open it. Once you read it, I think you're fine. You just have to make sure, after you get public comment, we close the hearing.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there someone here from the applicant? Please come up to the microphone, please. Please provide your name and address if you don't mind.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Edward Prunasi. I'm here from Best Deal Auto Sales, trying to get license for a used car dealer on commercial garage.
Okay. Before I go any further, were there any restrictions being offered, Dory, on this application? Are there any restrictions from, have all the town departments reported on this?
They have, and the issue is with the zoning enforcement officer. I
Okay,
think you have the paperwork in front of you that states an inspection was done as early as today, as late as today, I should say. And you have the findings that this gentleman is aware that they were in non-compliance as of today.
okay. Are there any questions from the board?
Are you selling cars out of there right now?
No,
Are there 27 cars on your lot today?
correct.
Are they all yours? Are they registered to you?
They're not registered.
They're not registered. 27 unregistered cars on your lot?
Yes, but what's happening, I sold my business in Manchester, New Hampshire back in July. And I came to this town to open a business. And we've been trying to get the meeting since October. That's the only reason we have all these cars sitting on the lot.
Are you aware of the town bylaw that restricts the number of unregistered cars on your lot?
Maryland, the inspector was there today, and she talked about the 3 car who was parked on the dirt. I get rid of them. If you want, I can show you a picture. It's already clear.
That's fine, but the unregistered cars, the town bylaw says you can't have any unregistered cars on your property. Right now, you have 27?
Even on the whole property, I cannot have any of the car.
They have to be registered. Did they tell you this on January 16th when they went?
Because what I bought the whole business. It used to be O'Malley Auto Sales, and the license expired in January this year. And the car been sitting there before that.
Okay.
It's March, it's the middle of March.
But I mean, they visited you in January on the 16th, and they did the
Yes,
inspection.
the car been sitting there since like October.
Right. And they told you that you
They
can't
didn't
have
tell me
it.
nothing, no.
They just told you everything was good?
When they show up there, I wasn't there. Then I came to talk to Dory. She told me go talk to Maryland. I tried to reach Maryland for like 3 weeks. When I see Maryland, she said, I have nothing to say to you. Go upstairs and talk to Dory. And I talked to Dory. She said, I will send Maryland one more time today. That was in January, February,
Bless
I
you.
believe. And since that, after that 3 days, I hear from the newspaper, they reach me. I haven't heard anything from the town. I know from the meeting, from the newspaper. I didn't get any letter from the city, nothing.
So after the town inspector visits you, does he leave a report with you?
No. I don't have any paper from the inspector.
We've had issues with this property, and before, and forgive me if I'm stepping out of line here, but before there was a U-Haul rental, there was places that sold gas, propane gas, there was a used car lot, there was a repair shop, and there was a gas station there. And we had problems with the owner of the property leasing it out to different people, and there was no clear cut, you get this many spaces, you get this many spaces. And I thought we handled that. And now we had a problem with, I think, the previous owner, before you, was selling the cars there. I think he had to come back to us, he had to clean up the property. So now, you bought this from this gentleman back in October, I'm confused.
Back in September.
September you bought,
Yes, but I came to the city, I filled out the application in October 18. I submit the application for the used car dealer on the commercial garage in October 18. And I wait until January. I didn't get any answer for a meeting. Then they told me I have to fill another application. I don't know what's happening
Do
with the
you,
first
do you own the property?
Cedar
The
Station.
the whole gas station, everything, do you own
I'm
everything?
a partner with,
You're a partner,
yes.
okay. What businesses are being run out of there? Just this used car dealership? Or do you sell gas? Do you make
It's gonna-
repairs?
Right now, only we're selling gas and diesel. That's the only business is running right now.
Okay. And is that your business?
That's
Are you
like-
selling gas or are you
I'm-
selling cars, or both?
I'm a partner of the gas station, yes.
Good. Maybe,
you like me to
can
shed
Dory
some
or
light
Rick maybe clarify this a
on
little
it?
bit?
Yes.
Give it a shot.
The gentleman is correct in October, and he was trying to apply for a commercial garage license and a Class 2 license. The problem with the Class 2 license is that the current owner, was not getting in touch with us to tell us that he wanted to sell the business. So we're not about to make a transfer when we don't know that the current owner even wants this to happen. They were unable to have the current owner contact us with a letter that notarized, a legitimate phone
The
call.
current owner at
anything.
that point?
Correct.
Who was?
Elias Saad.
Elias Saad, okay.
And Elias Saad, we never were able to confirm, so we were not able to take any action. He is correct in that license expired December 31st, the Class 2. The commercial garage that he's talking about was hand-in-hand with the Class 2, and we couldn't process them because of the holdup with the Class 2. Because we were informed by council to do both at the same time, because he has gone to site plan review for both businesses, and the cars they're all entwined. So then, January, the inspector went out, February, the inspector went out. I tried to get this gentleman to come into compliance, knowing that the board may be reluctant to issue a license when you're currently not in compliance. He never got in compliance, even as of today. So that's where we stand.
And does anybody know that if this gentleman was actually selling cars without a license from January, February, March? Do
There
we
was
know?
activity in cars on the lots, yes, and there was activity on the lot. Yeah, he says that he's not, but there was activity. on the
Activity
lot.
meaning,
Selling, looking at cars and doors open and that type of thing.
do you folks have a recommendation? I mean, we've had nothing but problems up at this site for some reason. I'm not sure why.
We have.
Maybe you want to continue this hearing until your next meeting, give him time to come into compliance?
Is he gonna get a letter from Mr. Saad? Is that?
Well,
not-
that is now expired.
I
so
got the
he-
letter I submitted with the application, but my first application has disappeared. I submit the application in,
No, the application hasn't
October
disappeared.
18.
The application couldn't
with
be
the lot
acted on.
plan, with letter from Mr. Saad. And I wait until January 3rd. I didn't hear from the town. And I spoke with
We needed,
Mrs. Dory, and she said, you have to fill out another application. And my checks one for the garage and one for the dealership, they've been cashed by City of Abington on October 22nd.
yeah, we needed something notarized
And
to
I didn't
understand
get
the
any
signature.
letter since then. I've been coming to the city, asking what's going on with my application. And last time when I spoke with you, you said I have to contact Maureen. And I kept coming here, ask for her, she's not here. Finally, when I met with her, she said, I have nothing to say to you. Go upstairs and talk to her.
Because I don't think you understand that the Board of Selectmen is the licensing authority. We're the office that gets you in contact with the Board of Selectmen to get you what you need. And this is what we were trying to do. I was trying to get you, she was trying to get you in compliance, and you're not. So this is a decision for the board.
Why she didn't tell me I wasn't?
I suspect
She
if you
did- she did.
called to make an appointment, did you call to make an appointment with her, or you just keep showing up cold and expect
I
her to be?
came
Yeah.
and I make appoint.
Yeah, I'm
The
sorry.
first time I came Monday, they said she doesn't work Monday.
Did
Then
you
I came-
call and make an appointment? That's what I asked you.
I
Did you
didn't
call and
and
make an appointment? Well,
But I
maybe,
came here, I left many message for her to call me because I didn't, I came over like 5 times. I left message with her, with the secretary downstairs.
So,
So,
number one, there's 27 cars on a piece of property that shouldn't be there in the first place
correct,
There was 44.
correct.
at one time. Then it went down to 34, now it's down to 27.
Yeah.
There should be no cars on the property, there should be no action on the property except for the sale of gasoline and diesel.
Yes.
And so what does the zoning board need to do to approve the car dealership license?
That would, the zoning board would come into, he's zoned highway commercial, but if, as far as unregistered cars, he has
Yeah.
27, he would need to get a special permit from the zoning board.
So
But
he needs a
does-
permit for the zoning board,
If he was to have unregistered cars, because our
which he
zoning.
has.
He has unregistered cars, but he
So
doesn't have a
He needs
license.
a permit from the zoning board,
If
and then
he
he
had a
needs to come
license.
back and get this approved?
Well, no, he would need the license first, and he would need a license for registered cars. He shouldn't have unregistered cars unless he got a special permit from the zoning board,
So
because
does-
our bylaws is specific, zero.
Okay, my question is that if he registered all 27 cars,
Mm-hmm.
would he be in compliance?
If he had a license from you.
If he had a license from us?
Yes,
But he currently has no license from us
correct.
because of previous inability to line up all the right people and do the right thing.
Well, his one license got revoked and the other one expired.
Expired.
And this is he coming before you this evening to request the license that he's still in non-compliance with.
So the license, if we were to approve this license tonight, he still doesn't have any right to have sales yet, correct? Because he would have to get a special permit from the zoning board before he could actually have sales for these cars?
Just for the unregistered.
For the
ones.
unregistered,
He could
yeah.
have registered
Yeah,
cars, like.
right.
But there are no registered cars on the property
Right.
currently.
Right.
When we're saying registered, excuse me.
You mean with a license plate?
Business?
Yeah, like a car dealership owns all the cars that they have. They're registered under a dealer.
And these cars aren't registered under your dealership?
Yes, they are.
I'm confused as to what you're talking about,
They're not.
registered then. And
They're not
unregistered.
registered at all.
When a car has no plate on the lot, but
Right.
it belongs to the dealership.
Right, I understand
It's not
that.
like every car has to have the Massachusetts plate.
Oh, no, I understand. If you were a car dealer, the cars don't have to be, if you had a license to sell cars there, they wouldn't have to be registered, correct?
Correct.
No, they're supposed to be
They're supposed to be
registered.
registered,
Yeah, supposed to be
yes.
registered vehicles,
In
yes.
the
No.
town of Abington, our zoning
Yes.
bylaw does not allow for a Class 2 license for unregistered cars,
Yeah.
unless you get a special permit from the zoning board.
So are you telling me if I go up to Midway, every single one of those cars is registered?
I don't know if he has a special permit from the zoning board, but I can tell you that that's what our town bylaws call for.
They're supposed to be
They're
registered.
supposed to be registered.
I have a feeling that if you go to every car dealer in that
If
town,
they have a special permit, I mean, I don't know. They're required to.
Come on up. Just give me your name and your address, please.
Yeah, it is.
My name is George Side. Actually, I live up in Windham, New Hampshire. My uncle owned that gas station before Edward had bought it back in September. So I know a lot of kind of what's going on, and I don't think he's kind of explaining it the right way per se, just
Please-
because of the
please
language
do.
barrier. So let me go back up to the beginning. Right now, when he first bought the station, he bought it from my uncle back in July. And I'm sorry my uncle couldn't be here. His wife had passed away, and he's actually out of the country. When Edward bought the station from my uncle, he bought the station with a car dealership, and he wasn't aware that the commercial garage there had no license. He wasn't aware of, what was going on. My uncle had leased that gas station to someone, and it's been causing problems since then. So when we came to the city before he actually bought this, we met up with the city inspector, and she showed us all the pictures of all the horrible things that was occurring over there, including, like you guys had said, there was like 4 or 5 businesses over there, U-Hauls all around the place, above the tanks. It was a mess. It was, and excuse my language, it was like a shitty place. He came in and he bought the station in July. He just wanted to buy the business at first. Then my uncle, was going through his things, and he offered him to sell, the land. So Edward says, why not? He came to me to partner with him. So basically, the owners of the actual land is him and my wife. That closing occurred in September. Now, O'Malley's, which was the registered car dealership over there, he was added on O'Malley's back in 2017 as a treasurer with the Secretary of State, in order for him to be able to, register and by registering the cars, move the title of the cars that he had under his own dealership in Manchester to O'Malley's name, because the license wasn't going to get expired until December 31st. So when the closing occurred in September, now he is also the owner of the land. So we thought, it was just an easy process, because, he's done that before, and usually took a month to 2 months, goes in front of the city board, and, they'll switch the license to the new owner. Now, we knew that there was a lot of problems going on, we understood what was happening, and we tried to work with the inspectional offices here, and with Dory. Dory was awesome, she provided us wealth of information that we didn't know. But then we came to a point where there was a disconnect. So now we have all these cars that are registered under the dealership. And what I mean by registered under the dealership, that who holds the title is the actual dealership. There's no state registration. Again, I have not been to any dealership, or I don't know of any dealership. I'm a tax consultant by trade, so I have a lot of clients that owns gas stations and dealerships and all that. I've never seen a dealership in the state of Mass or the state of New Hampshire that has a car registration. As long as you have a dealership that, and I'm not trying to tell, I'm just trying to tell you my information. As long as you have a valid license to sell cars, you have the right to have as many cars as basically the city council will approve to be able to sell. And I think that's where the disconnect is. I know Dory said, I forgot what the inspector's name is. Marilyn? Marilyn? Okay. Marilyn went to the site more than once, and excuse my language, we were extremely nice to Marilyn. We've been given a very hard time, he's been given a very hard time since the start. And, I have a couple of people who would attest to that. Now, we have no problem complying with anything that needs to be complied on, no problem at all. Yeah, okay, he had more cars than he should, that's true, that's a slap on the wrist, and he'll correct it, and he'll move on.
You don't have a license. You can't slap a wrist if you don't have a license.
The license was,
Speak to them.
oh, sorry, the license that was owned on that expired in December 31st, and we've been trying to get a meeting since October. So, yes, definitely we don't have a license because it already expired. So what is he gonna do with the cars there? He can't move them, he can't sell them. They've been there for about 4 months now. He's been losing money, he's been losing time, and he cleaned up the station. The station looks nice. The station looks nicer than it was before. There's no trash, there's nothing on there. Yes, I understand there's situations and there's issues that needs to be resolved. No problem resolving any of these issues. Just please have just one person tell us what we need to do. Every person tells us something different. And that's been so frustrating.
It's been the same, excuse me, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, but it's been the same message since January 16th. We've been trying to bring you into compliance, and we are still unable to do so.
No, that's fine.
And that's the fact.
That's perfect, that's a fact, you have it paper, no problem, I'm not gonna argue that. Why didn't Marilyn give us that paper, what we need to do in order for him to get in compliance? That's my only question.
Okay, good information. So what is it we need to do to get him in compliance? What is the?
They need, right now, they're not a car dealership.
Right.
They're a gas station. So right now, they have unregistered cars on their property.
Right.
Okay,
Now, you're right, if you're a car dealership and you have the titles, the cars are registered under the dealership. We're not talking state registration, license plates, that type of thing. But a car dealership can have those.
okay.
But a gas station with no car dealership can't have 44, 34, 27 cars.
Correct, I agree with you.
So, I mean, to come before me, and I can't speak for the entire board, but to come before me when you're not in compliance and say, hey, can we have a license, and then we'll be in compliance, that's not how it
Now,
works.
my question to you is this, and this is extremely logical, extremely factual, I agree with you 100%. There was a license on there, and it expired December 31st. And we've been waiting to actually renew that license, or basically change the name since.
Been out of compliance since then.
That's true. So what are we supposed to do with those cars on there? Where are we gonna put them? We can move them, we can rent a lot and put them there, but,
Not in Abington.
Yeah.
exactly. And that's the problem. So we're stuck. We just need guidance. You tell us what we need to do, we'll do it. And I know Dory's like, say, that's fine. She's entitled to her own opinion, but I'm at the
It's not
point
an opinion, you're
where
not in
it's
compliance
just
with the law. So it's not an
We never
opinion.
get a letter.
Understandable.
What you want us to do there?
understandable, but the logic of the fact is, We had a license expired December 31st, and we've been waiting to come in front of you since October.
But you've been breaking our laws, our bylaws since then.
Right, can I point out that
So
those bylaws are on the website?
you should know the bylaws, it's not our job to point them
Thank
to
you.
you.
That, I agree with you, and I have no problem with that, and, it's our mistake, we didn't do our homework. But we're standing in front of you today to correct what we need to correct.
Right.
At the end of the day, we're all trying to feed our families, and we're trying to make that business successful, and we're willing
I'd
to do
recommend
whatever
you
it
correct
takes.
it and then stand before us. It's
Excuse
just
me?
make you correct it and then come before us.
What do
Well,
we
I
need to
think,
do?
Tim, I agree with you, but in order for, I sort of agree with Mr. Sod that in order to get the license that he wants, that he needs, there's got to be a process, and I think what he's asking us, or the selectmen, or, Dory, is, okay, and Mr. Sod probably gonna have to set up a meeting, and request a meeting, and ask for the time, and like you said, go through the procedure so you know exactly what you have to do, because I really think you're not trying to, I don't think you're not trying to be in compliance, I think you want to be, so, but I think you just have to go over this, and whether it's with the building inspector or licensing, with Dory or Rick, or whatever, I would do that. I would start that procedure, and I really think that, and there has been improvement on the property.
Pretty simple, yeah.
But there are still other issues, and once we do that, I think you can get that. That's what I want to say.
And thank you, and really appreciate that. So now, what is asked from us is to remove all of these cars from there and start this process again. That's what my understanding is. Correct?
Yes, if
my
you want to be in
understanding.
compliance.
So if we want to be in
Zero
compliance, we have to move all of the cars over there
Yes.
and just have it plain empty, and then schedule another meeting with the board?
cars, if the board so chooses.
I would actually, I don't know if you could
But why
request the
they
building
didn't tell us
department to
that
come out
back in October?
and kind of do an inspection. And then that way we can have in front of us, hey, yeah, we inspected them. That gas station is up to code, everything's perfect at the gas station. And
That's,
now you're asking for a license for a garage and a dealership, we can say, well, yeah, you're a great gas station, because I agree, I do drive by there, the property looks nice, a lot nicer than it was. And I think if you follow the laws, I think you will have a great partnership.
perfect, and that's what we want to do. If that's the case, we are going to spend that money, we are going to take those cars out of there, we're going to go back to compliance, and we're going to come in front of you again to ask your permission
Talk
to
to the
extend
building
that.
department and town manager's office, they know more than I do as far as what exactly you have to do.
That's basically what, from the start, we did talk to the inspection services. This is what we were told. We've been through a lot, and I understand, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to spend that extra money, I'm going to remove all of these cars out of there, and I'm going to keep it as empty as whatever the license permits right now, which is gas station and diesel, just keep it like that, and then we're going to schedule, I'm going to call Marilyn again, I'm going to have her come and do an inspection again, because we were told, well, which I'm not going to go back and forth, that's fine, I understand, thank you very much, I really respect your opinion.
When's our next meeting?
The 25th of March,
March 25th.
March 25th.
I think it's foolish to remove all the cars, but I would say that if you can come back, just personally, if you can come back on the 25th, be in compliance, then we can probably start from square one. But if you come back again and you're not in compliance and the place looks like a mess and there's cars sitting in the rear on the pavement area and you don't have enough spots for customers, I think you're gonna have to remove a few cars. But, I mean, if you can come in, you're in compliance, then I would be in favor of letting it ride until then. Also, not selling any cars. I mean, you've got a license for gas, right?
Correct.
Right, but you don't have a license to repair cars?
No.
Right.
You don't have a license to sell cars?
Nope,
Right.
at this point, no,
Okay.
no.
So, I mean, as long as, and I would have inspection go there all the time, and if you're selling cars or repairing cars, and if there's more cars on the lot, and you come back on the 26th at our next meeting, and you're in compliance, then I would probably, but if you're not, then I would say cars are gone. That's my personal thoughts.
Yeah.
Anybody else on the board have any comments?
You said this is a partnership?
Yes,
Both these applications call for listing all the names and addresses of partners and it's blank.
Yes.
Can you fill that out, at least supply those names and addresses?
oh, will do, I apologize.
That's just a close.
I'd also like to make a note too that, now, the license before allowed X amount of cars, but you're well over that license.
Correct.
So that's not our fault.
Nope, that's
And that's
definitely
not Dory's fault.
No, definitely not.
That's somebody's fault.
Exactly.
Okay,
And
all right, enough,
I will
enough.
never say
All
that
right.
anyone's else's fault.
All right.
Anything else from the board? So, we need inspectional services to do another inspection to make sure everything is hunky-dory, if I understood Ken correctly.
I'd like to have the board take a vote before we go any further, just so we can, I mean,
To continue, or?
No.
that's my motion is to continue, allow them to keep the amount of cars that they have on there, be in compliance, and if they're not in compliance at our next meeting, come in at the next meeting, loaded, ready to go, with everything that's required of them, and the place clean, and if they're not, then
Right, just say,
Give the
to
authority.
Yeah, and
to
Rick,
be, in
through-
co- I'm sorry.
I'm
go ahead.
sorry, through you, either to you or town council, would it be a problem for him to leave the cars there up until the 25th?
Well, the bylaw says what the bylaw says, so, I mean, the Board of Selectmen, you can do as you choose, but to be in compliance with the town's bylaw, he has to have those unregistered vehicles out of there to be in compliance before he would come back before the board.
He's got to move them all out and then bring them back.
Just say what the bylaw says, I'm not,
I know it's not you.
yeah, that's right.
I just,
I just think it's an unnecessary step, but if it needs to be done, it needs to be done.
all the vehicles that are on that lot,
27.
27, well, there's probably a couple customers' vehicles, they're owned by you folks.
Yes.
They're owned by you?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and you have the title to them all?
Correct.
So that's an issue too, is, does that mean they're registered to him, you know? He has a dealer's place, so he can use it, so, I don't know the bylaws, I don't know the rules. It sounds ridiculous, I agree, what I said and you agreed. It doesn't seem to me that every single vehicle on every lot is registered. You know, do they fall under the umbrella of one deal plate and they're registered?
No,
No.
no, they have to be, each individual vehicle has to be registered.
We were told that his were not, that they're unregistered, that they're not registered cars, they're cars taken
We
from.
keep going back over this registered. I
Are
mean,
they unregistered because they don't have a license? If they had a license, as it covers?
The vehicle shouldn't be on the lot,
I understand
that's
that.
where
It's the zoning
Right.
bylaw.
And again,
Because of,
that's up to the board to make those decisions, but that's the bylaw,
but
whether,
if they had a license, how many cars could they have there?
27
They could have 27.
registered total on the lot.
Registered under one ownership.
That's my
Let me
confusion.
correct
What's
this.
registered? I can't see 27 cars having individual plates on them either, but.
They wouldn't.
They wouldn't.
They wouldn't have to be individually
I
registered.
thought that's what Tim explained. So I guess, if I understood you, Ken, correctly, is that if the board would take a vote to allow them to keep the 27 vehicles that are currently on the property, inspectional services between now and the 25th would do another inspection. If everything turned out all right, we would then take a vote on the license, but if everything was
and
wrong,
also have to go to the zoning board
Right.
as soon as
Well-
possible too.
to get a
I could
special.
just point out that is the issue with the zoning enforcement officers, because there's cars there that shouldn't be there. So that is the issue. It's not, it's okay to let it, the board can do what you like, but the point isn't it's not like there are other issues that the zoning enforcement officer has with the location. It's purely the 27 vehicles that don't belong there.
So Rick, you're under the belief if they move the cars, whatever, off of the property, and went through the procedure of getting a license getting a Class 2 license, that it would sort of take,
Right. And then they would
Yeah.
need,
In compliance.
yeah, after that, if they wanted to have a number of unregistered cars on the premises, then they would need a special permit from the zoning board of appeals. But they're not going to get that without the board granting a license first.
well, I have a question about that unregistered or registered, again, but if Mr. Saad or the gentleman with him, and I forgot his name, I apologize for that, if they can move the cars and work to get, if that's all the zoning has a problem with, move the cars and work as quickly as they can to get the license for the Class 2, that's what I would recommend. But
I apologize for my inadequacies. If I was to say to you, if you could move the 27 cars off the property, meet with the zoning board, or meet with,
I will schedule, the zoning enforcement officer to come out and.
and they're gonna go out and look at the property without the cars on it?
Yes,
And
hopefully.
if she comes back with a positive report, we could then vote on the license
If
on the
you-
25th, and then they could go forward and get the special Class 2 license later on afterwards?
They could get it that night. If you continue the hearing to the 25th, you could, and if they're in compliance, you could, if you chose to grant them the Class 2 that night, and the
Okay.
commercial garage.
I make a motion that we continue the hearing until the 25th.
I'll second.
And
Is there any additions to that, or is it just a motion to leave the meeting open until the 25th?
Leave the motion to the 25th, and these gentlemen working with the zoning board and the licensing, whether Dory or Rick or whatever, get it, and hopefully by the 25th.
So the board's recommendation is to leave this hearing open until the 25th.
Okay.
Have you remove the cars, get your inspection done, and then when you came back, we would grant the license and the special license?
Just the commercial garage and the
The
Class 2.
commercial garage and the Class 2 on the 25th. If we did that on the 25th, would they then be allowed to have car sales on the 26th?
For the town of Abington, I'm not sure what they have to do themselves, but yeah, as far as you're concerned.
Maybe we have to bring the car back, but I have one point. None of the dealership in any state, they register every single car on the lot.
Right, I agree.
That's why we're asking you just to meet with them, so you can clarify any confusion they might have between that and what our bylaws
I
are.
was in
Because
business
they'll
in
know more
Manchester,
than us.
New Hampshire for 10 years.
I don't question New Hampshire. New Hampshire's a whole different
Same-
operation.
Same law as Mass. None of the dealers, they register every
Okay.
single car.
Yeah, they'll
I'm
clarify.
gonna leave this meeting open,
Okay.
okay? I need you to get the cars off the property.
Okay.
Meet with one more meeting, make sure everything's kosher with everything else.
Okay.
If that's true, and you come back here on the 25th, we will, if the inspectional service report, if the board agrees that you're in line with everything else that you should be in line with, we'll vote that night on the 25th to grant you your license. Is that correct?
That's
If I'm
correct.
wrong?
Yeah.
And would I organize this with you, Dory, or should I?
Yes, through me,
Oh,
please.
I'd rather do that.
And that's one person you need to deal with.
Yep.
And when you come back on the 25th, the meeting will already be open. So we'll vote on it, we'll then close the meeting, and you'll have your license.
That's fair enough. I mean,
And
whatever
please-
we need to do.
Right, and please, no phone calls, no dropping in. Please make an appointment with Dory or with Rick, and so that we have it, that you've made an appointment. And again, I've made a motion, it's been seconded, so.
Is there anything further to be said? Motion and second to leave the meeting open until the 25th.
I would just like to also, if we could get any more information, if you could reach out to the building inspector, if there's any more information between then and now, that if we're wrong on something, on the registration, where we're confused on that, there are obviously miscommunication somewhere.
Sure.
So whatever clarification that can make our job easier on the 25th, if we could get that before then.
Anything further to be said?
just one thing, I'm actually kind of pissed off that there's no one here, a zoning enforcement agent or a local building inspector is not here to answer these questions. It's BS. Really, I mean, someone should be here so we don't look like clowns up here, because there's something highlighted that says transport vehicles. It doesn't say anything about cars. So I'm at a loss as to what, it doesn't make any sense. It says open lot storage of registered transport vehicles and trailers needs a special permit. It doesn't say anything about cars. So that question could be very easily answered if we had a zoning enforcement officer or a building inspector here. I honestly don't think that every single car on the lot has to be registered, but the motion's been made and seconded. You guys can vote what you want.
Okay, so we have a motion second. Is there anything else to spit? If not, all in favor of leaving the meeting open, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It remains open until the 25th, sir. Please set up an appointment and get this taken care of. We'll leave the meeting open on the 25th, and we'll get your license.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
List of partners.
It being 7:15, I'm going to open up. This meeting stays open, correct?
Yes.
Thank you very much. 98 Bedford Street, the Town of Abington, public hearing. The Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on March 11th, 2019 at 7:15 now, in the Carter Hearing Room, 500 Glenwood's Way, on the application of Michael Crooks, 98 Bedford Street, to transfer the common particular wine and malt liquor license. Is there someone here from 988? Please come on up, name and address, please. Good evening.
My name's Eric Dutcher, 237 Crescent Street.
What's your role in this business, Eric?
We are partners, 50/50.
Thank you, sir. Go right ahead. What would you like us to do?
We'd like to open a restaurant at 988 Bedford Street.
What kind of restaurant do you want to open?
An absolutely delicious barbecue restaurant.
You're not lying to me now, are you?
I am not lying to you.
Okay. What makes it delicious, absolutely.
We put a lot of love into it.
Well, I like that.
Is that sarcastic, or is that not?
No, that's the truth. I'm not allowed to be sarcastic today, they said.
Okay.
Before we have a conversation with the board, are there any questions or concerns by any other member of the Town of Abington?
No, he's in complete compliance.
He's in complete compliance.
It's a transfer with the same hours and the same hours of operation.
Any questions from the board?
And that's for beer and wine, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And tips training? Anybody on board, the employees? There has to be someone at all times that's tips trained, is that the
Yes.
the rule?
Yeah, I think there's numerous ones. If not, we'll do it right away.
Any other questions from board members?
They don't have any unregistered vehicles that park there.
Nor do they need a permit to do that, so. So we are voting on a liquor license transfer, is that correct, Dory?
That's correct. Common victula and beer and wine.
When's the grand opening?
It depends on today. It'll be Thursday if it's today. Everything.
I'll take a motion if there's no other questions by the board. Is there anyone in the audience who has a question about this before we talk about motioning the board to approve this? Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak to this location's address or concerns with this restaurant? I see none. I'll take a motion from the board to approve the liquor license transfer.
I'll make that motion.
Motion's been made by James. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Ken seconds it. Is there anything?
Can I just ask a question?
Yes, sir.
They don't need any other, the other permits will be required from the Board of Health, right, for serving food?
Yes,
Are they-
separate.
Are there any other required, you know?
From the Board of Health, you need the food permits
Yes,
and
we
whatever.
have theater one.
There's no zoning issues to worry about here.
Right.
Any other questions from the board? I have a motion and second. If not, all in favor say aye of the approval of liquor license transfer.
Aye.
Opposed?
Is it a transfer, or is it,
A transfer from
A
Uncle Billy's.
transfer from Uncle Billy's
Uncle
to...
Jimmy's.
Uncle Jimmy's to...
Sarcastic swine.
okay,
Is a transfer.
okay,
Again, well, do we have to go again, or is it good? Are you good?
I'm good.
You're good. It's 5-0, it's approved. Good luck, congratulations.
Awesome,
Look
thank
forward to taking you to your awesome barbecue.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, good luck. Do I have to vote to close the meeting?
Yes,
Did that vote cover their common vic too?
yes.
Okay.
I have a motion to close the meeting?
Was that a public hearing?
Yes, it was an advertised public hearing
I
because
make
of
a
the beer and
motion.
wine.
You're supposed to close it before you vote, but that's all right.
Motion to close. James, thank you. Second?
Yep.
Second, and anything further said? Motion to close. Do we have to do it individually, Ken?
Nope.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous, 5-0. Thank you, Ken. Next on the agenda is Billy's House of Pizza, request for transfer of common particular. Come on up. Name and address, please.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Jeffrey Vasquez, 874 Brockton Avenue in Abington.
How are you tonight?
I'm well, yourself?
Good, thank you. What would you like to do?
I'd like to purchase Billy's House of Pizza on Brockton Ave in Abington.
Before we go any further, again, the question would be, is there any issues with the transfer of this?
There are no
for anyone?
issues with the transfer, and the hours of operation are the same.
Nothing changes but the owner.
Yeah.
Any questions from the board?
They don't hold a alcohol license?
No, no alcohol.
Maybe that's why.
Same hours, you doing the same hours, Jeff, as Bill, and, delivery service?
Yes.
Delivery takeout? Nothing else?
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the transfer license.
Second.
Motion and second. Is there any further to be said? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous 5-0. Good luck, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeff.
Good luck.
Next on our agenda, Mark Capadona from Colonial Power to discuss the renewing of the town's aggregation plan. For electricity?
He was being sarcastic about this one.
Good evening.
Good evening. Mark Caponora.
Good to see you again.
277 Main Street, Marlboro, Mass.
Thank you.
I'm here today just to talk about the aggregation plan. It was up and running for a year. We knew it was coming. We had an issue with capacity in your load zone. You guys actually sit in SEMA. And when we went back out to the market and we checked it, there wasn't any favorable pricing. So I think the town manager made the correct decision. We just suspended it. Unfortunately, when you suspend the program, the Department of Public Utilities makes you go back through, hang the plan, and then take a vote here one time. And then we go back through with the DOER and DPU, get an order, then you can go back out to the marketplace.
Back out to bid, so.
That's exactly correct.
So even if we take a vote today, we still will.
It doesn't really mean
approve the bid,
anything.
yeah.
Move the ball forward is really all you're looking for here. But it's still down the road, maybe November, maybe after that. Unfortunately, the state is slow.
Are there any questions from the board regarding this? If any members have any questions, you feel free to ask.
I will say that I thought at least the first 6 months were a great deal for the residents of the town. Some people dropped out, and, I mean, God love them if they got a better price than what we had, but I thought it worked out well in the beginning. You know, and a wise decision not to re-up, because the price, you know, we couldn't get National Grid had a pretty good price. Well, pretty good, but it's not pretty good.
Better than we could, though.
Yes,
Better than
exactly.
the market would bear at that time. I will give you a few stats. You know, in total, on average, about 4,000 residential customers participated. In total, 4,500 for the whole town. So that's about 500 commercial accounts. The savings for the residents were $238,000 over the whole 11 months. And in total, the total savings all in with $236,363 for the full year.
And again, we wouldn't go forward with this unless we got a favorable rate, so.
Correct.
Right.
Again, this is just to get through the process, to get to that pricing again.
Yep.
Any other questions from the board?
It would be the same thing again, where customers would get a letter letting them opt out if they wanted to,
Opt-out is correct.
Opt-out if they want to,
I just want to make sure we have that correct.
Right, it's
It is still an opt-out program, but they would always have the ability to get back in if they so desired. But no decision is a decision. They would be moved to the competitive supplier.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the audience regarding this for the town? I see none. If not, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Tom seconds it. Is there anything further to be said? If not, can I have a vote of all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? No, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. Please go forward and give us a good rate.
Thank you. Long ride for that.
Next on the agenda, meeting 7:25, an update from the Park and Rec Chair, Rory Manning, regarding the discussion with the Little League on field maintenance and future planning. Rory, name and address, please.
Hi, Rory Manning, 34 Orange Street. I am the current chair of the Park and Rec Board.
Good evening.
Hello. So I'm here to give an update from the January 28th meeting where the Baseball Board of Directors came before you to express some concerns that they had about the mowing for the upcoming baseball season. Due to limited DPW resources, we had a couple of meetings with the DPW director with the Park and Rec Board, the Griffin's Dairy Committee, and the Little League Board of Directors on February 13th and the 27th. And we have come to a consensus from those two meetings to help baseball get the resources they need and to make sure that they are having their mowing done in a timely manner. And so what has been decided is, in lieu of them paying their per child, I guess is the best word to use, per child fee that they normally would pay, they are not paying the town or the Park and Rec Board that fee. They are still filling out a permit, so we know that they are on the fields and what fields they're using, but they're not paying us a fee this year. This is a 1 year only. We're kind of testing out the waters to see if this works. What is happening is they are going to contract out to a landscaping service to service the 4 fields they use, which are Arnold Park, Laidler, Plymouth Street, and the Woodsdale School. These services will consist of mowing, weed trimming, and the other services directed by the Little League Board of Directors at those fields on a schedule defined by them. The responsibility of the town through the DPW will be the maintenance of the infield, which is just the clay, which is turning the clay over once a week to the best of its ability. Prior to engaging the services of the vendor that they will go through the correct bidding process for, they will make sure to consult with the rec commission and the town manager and ensure that the vendor is in good standing with the town, which means there are no outstanding taxes, fees, legal actions, etc. Also, the town will have no responsibility for paying the selected and approved vendor, and the Little League Board of Directors will make direct payment themselves. The vendor shall provide the town with an insurance certificate naming the town as additionally insured for any and all liability with minimum coverage of $200,000 per incident and $2 million aggregate. These insurance limits may be modified at the sole discretion of the town manager upon request. The town has also decided at this meeting to submit an article at the 2019 annual or special town meeting to propose funding for services to have the Griffin's Dairy area surveyed for the idea of maybe putting in baseball fields up there. I know we've previously come before you last year to discuss putting soccer fields up there. That, however, plan fell through, and soccer is now up at the naval base for right now. So we are looking to have an article put in to ask for $10,000 to have surveying done of if we could fit some baseball fields up there. I know that the Griffin's Dairy Committee is on board with having playing fields up there. I know that the big thing they're working for is mixed use, and I think that there is enough space that even if we put baseball fields, the outfields can still be considered mixed use, and I think it would be nice for the town to have some more nicer new fields, especially with the new fields that we're going to get from the school. We are also, the agreement applies to just this 2019 season, and at the end of this season, the Little League Board of Directors will meet with Rick and/or Dory and the DPW and Park and Rec to discuss what went well, what went wrong, and discuss if this is something we want to do going forward. I do want to thank the Baseball Board of Directors, the parents and the coaches that came out, as well as the Griffin's Dairy Committee and the Park and Rec members, as well as Rick, for having these two meetings and making this work so we can get the kids on the fields and make sure that when we're showing outside towns a good field, that this is what Abington's proud of. So I didn't know if you guys had any more questions for me or...
So basically, instead of paying you folks, they're going to use that money to pay for the upkeep of the fields.
The biggest issue was getting the grass mowed on time, and there was a few disconnects between, if it rained or John didn't have enough guys or couldn't get out there at the time.
Well, no one knows better when they have to be more than the Little League.
And so we discussed at the first board, the idea was brought up of having a subcontractor come out and mow it, because baseball has had someone mowing Plymouth Street for the past couple of years, and it's worked out well for them. So we asked them to go out and get 3 quotes, which is the proper bidding process, and to come back with us so we had some actual numbers to look at. And all of the quotes came in under $10,000, which is the next step up for bidding, where you have to put it out to a formal bid, and the town manager's office has to be involved, and it becomes a whole other process. We also discussed having them pay the board still, and then the town would contract the vendor, but then that also came in, we have another party playing in, and Little League still has to tell the landscaper when to cut the grass and when not to cut the grass, and what's the point of having the town involved at that point. So at Rick's approval at the meeting, we decided that it was easier for baseball to just control the process themselves for this 1 year as a test case to see if it works.
My only concern would be, and you can probably answer this, is if, you want to have a pickup game and go play on the fields, they're not exclusively for Little League, right?
No,
Anybody can go use the fields?
No, Little League, they're still town fields. They're still owned by the town. Little League is submitting their permits as they normally would, to let us know and requesting specific hours and specific times. So Saturday mornings, it's the same as with soccer. When the fields were behind the high school, you knew Saturday mornings soccer was happening all day till 4 o'clock. So you weren't going to go have a pickup game at 9 in the morning on a Saturday because you knew there was 100 little children running around screaming and kicking soccer balls at each other.
I want to commend the town manager and you folks, the recreation and John Stone and the Little League. This sounds like a great agreement, and it seemed hopeless when they came in for this year. It really did. It was like, it was too late, we can't do anything. You guys did, and hopefully it will work out, and next year they'll do the same thing, or you learn by your mistakes. That's awesome.
We like the idea, and to help John with as everyone knows, I've been saying this for almost 2 years now, the limited DPW resources, and I know that's a whole budgetary issue that's above my pay grade, which is, I pay 0 right now.
Us too.
But we're hoping that this might be a scalable option, especially with the DPW now taking over the high school, and there's other fields, and the more fields we put in, the more grass that needs to be
The
mowed.
Little League could come back and say next year, and say, we didn't have enough money to do it, we don't want to do it next year.
The quotes all did come in over the amount the Little League has paid us in the past years, and we made sure that they're aware that they were absorbing that extra cost. So for this 1 year, they were fine with it. And like you said, they might come back and go, hey, that's a lot of money, we don't know if we want to do it, and then we'll have to come back and revisit it again
Make some
next year.
adjustments. Thinking outside the box is very, very good. Excellent.
Do we have a demand for more fields at Griffin Dairy Farm, or?
As of right now, no. I would be great if more sports teams came to Park and Rec meetings and told us issues versus me hearing about it at the deli counter at Trukey's, but, it is what it is when you wear a Park and Rec sweatshirt to Trukey's, you take all the risks.
Thank you for shopping, Trukey's.
I like to buy 2 apples at a
That's
time.
my concern. I mean, if we don't have the demand, and we're having a tough time taking care of the fields we got now,
Yeah.
is it wise to?
Well, we're looking at baseball since originally Griffin's Dairy was going to be soccer because soccer was the first sport to come to us, and there was an issue for lack of soccer fields due to the construction of the school.
Right.
So soccer was the first choice. If we do put baseball fields up there, if that is something that the town decides on and Griffin's Dairy Committee is okay with and Park and Rec goes forward with, my thought is, can we take any of the other baseball fields in town away and repurpose them to new fields? That's something that I've just been thinking about because I'm trying to think of where we can put fields, what kind of fields we can have in. And soccer fields are just open grass fields. So if I take a baseball field back and make it a soccer field, it's just a big square of grass that's got to be cut. And then anything could happen up there. And as Park and Rec, I want to throw more events so I could have movie nights, I could do whatever I need to do. But if I have space, I want to do something.
You need money.
Well, money is always a need.
Rick, I noticed that in her conversation, she mentioned a liability policy. My biggest concern is the covering of the town's liability. So is whatever you're setting for limits covering the town in case whoever this vendor is who comes in to cut the grass has a problem or an accident or something, we are covered for that?
That's right. They'd have to name the town as additionally insured, and they have to have minimum coverage, which is usually what's recommended by our insurer for keeping the town covered. And again, those limits are pretty high. That's why there's a provision in there that we can waive them, or, not waive them, but adjust them if necessary, because for a small contractor, those limits may be very high, but again, so it's going to be that balance between making sure the town's is covered, however, have a little bit of leeway just in case, you don't want to keep, your local vendor from being able to do this project simply because they just can't get the insurance. So that's the balance we'll have to, hopefully we won't have to, but if it does come to that, then we'll deal with it then.
And John John was at the meetings and is aware of this and is in a favor of this decision going forward, because it does help free up a lot of John's schedule so that John can tackle other issues that he might not have had the time to tackle previously.
On the question of other issues, there are other fields that aren't being used by baseball which would fall under the contingency of still needing maintenance by John. Is that going to be continually monitored by Park and Rec, or is that just going to be monitored by John?
So they are still they're still town fields, and they're under, if a permit was to be submitted, they are still permitted through Park and Rec. John is mowing them, but if they are not permitted to be used, the mowing schedule is a bit different. It doesn't have to be done every 3 or 4 days. It's a once, maybe twice a week, depending on the availability of his workers and the schedule.
Noted. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions for Rory from the board?
You mean Ms. Manning? No.
No, Ms. Manning.
One quick question. This agreement you have with Little League, does that go through summer and fall ball as well?
This is just for the spring season. This is only covering mowing from April to August. So this is only for their summer, spring,
Oh, so
summer,
through
spring,
August.
summer, ball. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't think we have fall ball.
It's
in town
16, it's
anyway yet.
16 weeks is the longest one. One is, a couple of fields are only 8 weeks, and then I think for the summer, they don't use.
And then
a
after
couple of the other
that,
fields. It's only
in
for the 16
September, the
weeks.
DPW will
Yeah.
continue mowing it for
Yeah.
the field. For the
Yeah, if there's a permit submitted for a field and there's a date, we mow the field.
Gotcha.
Are there any questions from the audience before we let this meeting go? Nothing else from the board? Thank you very much. Appreciate
you.
your time. Moving,
Mr. Chairman, I don't think it's on the agenda, but we do have an update from the Griffin's Dairy Committee in front of us, and it seems like we have most of, if not all, the members here. Did they want to go up? I mean, we love to get, I mean, I don't think it's a stretch from the agenda, because it does talk about field maintenance and future planning on the agenda, so.
is there any volunteer from the Griffin Dairy like to just give us a quick update on Griffin Dairy?
And we do whatever Carrie Bates wants. That's the other.
Oh, it's Carrie Bates. I can't believe she's in the audience tonight.
Now, they gave us an update, I think it was a year ago, so what have you done in the last year?
That's right.
Good evening.
Carolyn Bates, 41 Oakland Circle. Yes, I was hoping not to have to get up and say anything, but this has been a very positive year, with the exception of the rain. We had Phase 2, this is the negative part of it, Phase 2 walking paths, which would go from the present bridge across what were designated as 2 soccer, lacrosse, or multi-purpose playing fields, going across to the other side, and then another walking path coming from from Patterson Street. I'm going to go, this is the north, Patterson Street up here. And then coming up to a point of trees, and then coming across to a second bridge. And then crossing that bridge, coming down on the south side of that ditch, and then crossing a third bridge, and that would be Phase 3, coming back to the first path. And so what we did several months ago, we voted to change that Phase 3 path, not to go across the ditch, but to stay on the north side
So it's going to
of
avoid
the
your,
ditch.
it's going to avoid your elbow.
Right,
Okay,
here.
all right.
And then come down and have the bridge go over another little ditch and go back, so that would enable people walking, and there are games going on, they could stop, they could take their chairs, they would have a way to get to the games without being on the wrong side of the ditch, supposedly. And so it was kind of a winning situation for everyone, because also one thing that are trying to pursue is possibly a vegetable farmer coming in and growing vegetables on the south side of that ditch near the community gardens. And it would be organic, just like the community gardens are. And I have spoken to one person, but I think that has to go out. There's a certain process that has to go through. So anyway, that's kind of where we're thinking of that section of the property. So we've been with met with Rich Hanna, and I met with the town manager and with Little League, and they're a wonderful group of men, and they're working hard, and see if what we can put up there. And I think that the multi-use is very important, so that other people can come in, and everybody in town can use it. Walking, flying kites, whatever. Snowshoeing in the winter, maybe even this week, who knows? But anyway, that's about it. Do you have any questions?
You get the vegetable gardener in there, you renting that land, or you just allowing him to?
He would rent that. It would be a procurement type thing, so it would be money coming back into the town.
Oh, very good.
Yes.
I would just,
And then possibly then we could also have the farmer's market as well. And everybody, many people now are going for the homegrown vegetables rather than trucking them in. We don't know how many additives there are in, preserving the good vegetables, so.
Just let people know, if you haven't been up there in a while, please make a trip up there. It's beautiful with the fencing and the paths and the picnic tables and whatnot up. It's really nice. And looking at the bridges, it's pretty sharp up there, and there's some wildlife up there too. And please, if you do bring your dogs, make sure you clean up after them, please, and keep them on a leash. I actually have a question. Did we ever come up with, I know there was talk in the beginning about a survey for solar, because there's so much land up there that's not being utilized. Did we ever come up with?
We did meet with Charles Jenkins, and we did a walkthrough a year ago in the summer, and he said a small array could be put, well, they could do anything, basically, but the best place, one place would be a small array just around the corner going south, that would pick up most of the sun's rays. But then we walked over to the old sewer beds, and he went bonkers, basically. Would
anything
you
else
like to
been
speak on
done?
that?
Well, he did. He loved the site. The problem is that apparently, we had contacted him on several occasions, and it seemed like his issue was getting investors. And for whatever reason, he was unable to do that, at least to date. But it's been, like I said, it's been a good year now. He liked the site very much. There were some questions he had about potential clearing of some of the tree line to be able to get some more, a bigger array, and if so, what would the buffer have to be between the residents? But that never went any further than that. He never actually made us a formal proposal of any kind.
Is he the only one we can talk to?
I'm sure we can ask other people, but the feasibility of it, I think was, again, it's not, again, they came to us with a proposal. It's not like we were out seeking proposals.
Okay.
So.
And I always thought, even in the beginning on the committee, I thought the old sewer line, the raised sewer line is a perfect path to go to end up at the rail trail.
Absolutely.
Is that still part of the plans? I hope it is.
That is part of the plan. The Phase 2 goes up to the point, it's a tree point, there's maybe 10 feet that goes into the access to the sewer beds. And then, in fact, you can just, you're just right there.
Right.
And you go up and you're right on the rail trail.
Right.
And you can also get to the rail trail up Charles Street.
Right. Okay.
So, but that is on our plan, yes.
Well, great work. Thank you. You guys work hard.
Thank you.
You guys don't get the credit. I mean, I see you folks up there all the time, clearing brush and working, and, I'd help you, but I'm really susceptible to poison ivy. But other than that.
You can come up and help us burn. We'll be burning in April.
Okay.
So that would be good.
You guys have done a great job with the community garden. I have a plot up there the last 3 years or so, and the improvements in the last 3 years have been just phenomenal. I know Richard does a great job. He's up there. I see him up there working all the time. Yeah.
Yes, he's up there just about every day. One thing is that the manager, well, not the manager, but Lorraine Ryerson, who started it through the SAGE committee, said there are 7 new applications for this year.
Yeah, I heard
already.
there's quite a few.
So, and the applications are on the website. So that's a good thing.
Any other questions? Thank you very much, Gary.
Good job.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
You did a good job.
Oh, you didn't want to talk. You did a nice job.
She wanted to talk. Who's she kidding?
I don't know. Next on our agenda item is the approval of the January 28th, 2019 open session minutes. I'll take a motion when you're ready.
I used to.
Have we had any, I know at this meeting, we approved outside seating in the patio for the entertainment license. Do we have any feedback, or they probably haven't even opened up with the weather, but do we know anything at all at
I'm sorry,
Yaz's place? Do we know?
Yeah, we're still waiting to hear back from the ABCC.
Oh, so they're not doing it yet, they have to get approved?
Right.
Okay. I would make a motion to approve them.
Ken makes a motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second. Is there anything further to be said? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? Next on our agenda is the review of the public comment policy. Should be in your packet. Last time this was adjusted was 2015.
Although, I think it was re-voted since then, without any adjustments. Because I believe, you were, I think, Tom, you were on board. We brought this up and we left it alone, right?
That's correct.
I have a question about the comments. I know we limit it to what's on the agenda. Don't people, when the issue comes up on the agenda, we ask if there's anybody who has comments during that hearing. I've been to other meetings where the public comment is set aside for things that aren't on the agenda. How come we do it this way?
If I could speak, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
We've had some issues with people coming in and talking about things that we weren't prepared to talk about. That's pretty much it. And there have been instances where there's been attacks to members of our board and town officials saying, why isn't this getting done? This isn't being done right. And we're caught out of the blue, whereas if they called and requested it to be put on the agenda, we would be better prepared.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the
Yeah.
biggest concerns, because you never know. And the other thing too is, not that we would do it, but once a discussion between the whole board gets involved, you're risking violation of the open meeting law, because you're really, I mean, people can have their say, but it shouldn't be a given, it shouldn't be a back and forth.
Right.
Because once we start talking and say, I agree with you, it's like, whoa, so.
You're setting stuff in stone.
And I would also see, I think it was about 4 years ago, the open meeting law, the state open meeting law was updated, and it's very clear that you have to have something on the agenda. That's what gives the public notice. So if people are coming in here speaking to things that aren't on the agenda, you've effectively violated the open meeting law. That's the problem.
Yeah, the other meeting, I've been to other meetings where it's basically just a comment. They get up, they have their say, there's no giving back, back and forth. It's make your statement, sit down, you got 2-3 minutes to speak, and that's just the way I've seen it. Anyways, that's my opinion.
Any other comments? One of the things I was concerned with was the ability for the chairman to limit the time comments are made. I didn't know if the board had any issues with putting some type of time structure on that or leaving it open.
No, I agree, there should be a time limit. It should be only a comment type of thing going on. Like you said, no, so if you wanted to put a 2-minute, 3-minute, whatever, depends on how many people want to comment too.
Well,
The chairman has the right anyway to shut it down as they're speaking, so if they're going on and on, you could stop them, but if somebody has a real comment that is gonna take longer, which usually doesn't, I mean, we saw it at our last meeting, we had a lot of public comment, and I thought it was, for the most part, done well. Most people stuck to the issue, and I just don't think it's a problem, so why restrict?
nope, no argument, just good discussion, that's what we're here for. Are there any other parts of the current public policy that the board would like to discuss? If not, I'm willing to move on if everyone else is.
So, we just want to leave it alone, is that what we're saying?
Or we could, is there anything you want to change?
Didn't you just say you wanted to change it, to add?
No, he was talking about adding a time limit, and I was saying I didn't want to add a time limit, so.
Some towns do, I mean, I actually looked at several towns in Massachusetts. One town has, total time for public comment is 15 minutes, which can be adjusted by the chair. Planning on being allowed no more than 3 minutes per person to speak, that sort of stuff. So different towns have, I mean, one town, Lancaster, has the opportunity for public to address their concerns, make comment and offer suggestions on operations or programs, except personnel matters. Complaints or criticism directed at staff, volunteers, or other officials shall not be permitted. So if we were thinking to expand it beyond what we have, we might want to, add some of that word, although some of that word is kind of already in there, but.
Yeah, it is, and if we were to take off the part that says apply to only agenda items, then I would want those restrictions in there, and maybe a 15-minute total time limit or something like that, because.
And this is,
you could have a line, but in this, I mean.
I just want to make it clear, too, that this isn't that we don't want to hear how we can do our job better. It's, we can't do our job better if we violate any open meeting law. You know, that's the important thing. And I don't think there's been a case where someone is asked to be put on the agenda where they have been refused, except for maybe a board member or two, but that's a different subject. But, I mean, for citizens at large, I think a perfect example is a Little League. They came in, we addressed their concerns, and I'm really impressed by the way that the groups got together and came up with it. You know, and that's because they asked to be put on the agenda, so it does work. I'd like the policy the way it is, but if we do end up changing it, I'd just like to put some more restrictions in there, that's all. I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay. If, anything else to be said? If not, we'll move on. Review of the agenda procedures.
Forgot about that.
Mr. Town Manager?
Yes, I already put that away, okay. Well, obviously, it wasn't me that asked to have you review this. I don't know if anybody has read this, you know, thoroughly to either agree, disagree, propose some changes to it. I think one of the things that I would just hope we remain strict about, though, is that we have backup information for the board that we can provide you. You know, sometimes you might have somebody, an applicant, to get on the agenda, and they're not interested in providing us with any background information. So, you know, I would hope that we would continue to take the position that if you don't provide information, you know, we don't let you on the agenda. And that's to protect all of us from, again, like Ken said, from being surprised by people who, and have the board unprepared to speak to issues. Now, there may be an occasional exception, and that would obviously be up to the chairman. But again, I don't think there's an issue with the policy. I just want to make sure that there's understanding that when we enforce the policy, it's not because we pick and choose, it's because, you know, that's what it says. So, subject to the chairman's approval at all times.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, I'd like to move on to item number 4, the vote to submit proposed zoning amendments to the planning board for review and public hearing.
And this is a parliamentary measure because all zoning articles have to be, you know, referred to the planning board by the Board of Selectmen because it's your warrant for their review and recommendation to town meeting. So again, these will ultimately be on the warrant that you approve for town meeting, but this is again, a procedural.
Can I ask a question? Who's suggesting these changes? Is it the planning board that's suggesting these changes to the zoning board, or is the zoning board making these suggestions?
There's one, I believe there's one, it's a petition article, yes, yes. So, obviously, within a petition article, there's obviously no ability to not have it on the warrant, but as a zoning article, it does have to be referred to the planning board for their approval. Well, not approval, but recommendation. We only have one zoning article, huh? Good.
So we need to vote tonight to send this to the planning board?
Correct, just to refer
We'll
it
then
to...
vote whether or not they recommend or
Exactly,
we
exactly.
pass.
Is it just the planning board that votes on this, or both the planning board and zoning board vote on this?
It's the planning board. The planning board, right. I mean, there may be...
Are they the overseers of the zoning board? Is that right?
No, but, I mean, there may be provisions in the bylaw that require action by the zoning board of appeals, but it's the planning board that ultimately makes a recommendation to the town on all zoning articles. They may take input from the zoning board of appeals, but...
Are there any questions from the board on these changes that are being proposed? Because I'll be the first to admit that some of these changes, if they were known now, they're why, or they need a special permit.
Right.
Do we take apart things, or is this a whole vote on the whole package?
No, actually, again, this is just a vote to refer to the planning board, so they can do their review of the proposal.
At some point further down the road, as it gets closer to the town meeting, we could vote to recommend approval or defer it to.
Right.
But since it's a petition, we have to accept it, my understanding.
The review process doesn't even begin until zoning articles are referred to the planning board. And again, because this is a petition article, you're right, you really don't have a choice, but a lot of times there are zoning proposals that either come from the building department or other places, and you still have to refer those to the planning board, but presumably, well, I'm saying, you need to do that for them to get on the warrant, but presumably you could decide that you don't want to put, even forward a particular article to the planning board for their review, but obviously not with a petition article.
I'll make a motion that we vote to submit the proposed zoning amendments to the planning board for review and public hearing.
Tom makes a motion, do I have a second?
You got a second.
Jim seconds it. Anything further to be said? If not, all in favor of proposals, say aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous, 5-0, moves on. Good luck, planning board.
Leave it to them, and like I said, if we have comments, we can make.
Town manager's report, please, sir.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just a few items. First, just drawing people's attention to the recent planning board forum with regard to the master plan. I know it's their second meeting they've had with regard to this. At this stage, they have some graduate students who are procedurally moving this along. Eventually, this is going to be forwarded and or put together by Mr. Dan Crane. Some of you may remember him. He was the town planner here for many years, after being the director at Old Colony Planning Council. But some of the group, again, this is for citizens at large or anybody else that wish to attend, had some common thoughts about where to go with the town of Abington. Obviously, I think nobody would disagree with the revitalization of the center, North Abington Center in the center. Issues such as pedestrians, cyclists, aesthetics. So even to the extent, throughout the rest of the town, green space and wildlife. So, I don't want to get into all of it, but I believe that last meeting was on cable, so encourage people to look at that. And as other forums are scheduled, we'll try to get it up on our notice boards too, so people will be able to attend. So it's a good, it's a process that obviously has to happen every so many years. And, you wouldn't want people to lose their ability, to miss the opportunity to participate. Number two, I know some have already been informed of this, but the advisory committee, of the Ames Knoll Study Group, they've done a lot of work, had several meetings, actually been very active, and they attached, I have, their work so far in identifying specific areas that need either attention, and they're broken into 4 different groups: public safety, long-term capital investment, welcoming public convenience, and engagement. Obviously, I don't need to get into all those people, but that's a presentation that they're going to make at some point to the Board of Selectmen. I know Mr. Collins met with Bob and Jim this weekend at their coffee hour, and I think we're all impressed by how much knowledge they have of this location. I'm actually extremely impressed how much Rick and the committee know. So I'd say at some point, I think it would be a good presentation publicly for the Board of Selectmen to get this a little more public. So, and the Little League, you've already heard about that from Rory. Excuse me. The project information form, which is the first step of getting Mass DOT, approval, review for funding of certain projects. Well, the PIF for Hancock Street and Chestnut Street has been accepted by Mass DOT. And as I said, it's the first step in the process of obtaining funding from the state for doing the engineering review that we seek to do up there. It has to go before another panel at Mass DOT, and that hasn't been set up just as yet. But again, it's a good sign that the PIF has at least met some minimum criteria to move forward. And last of all, I know I forwarded the board some information on this during the week. There's been some concerns by our police department with regard to the North Ave and Birch Street Railroad crossings. There have been some issues at both locations with vehicles on the tracks. And the Deputy Chief pointed out a number of concerns, and I'm sure, and they met with officials from the United States Department of Transportation who have jurisdiction over railroad tracks. Some of the suggestions that all thought might be helpful is for the fog lines through the crossings, for extending the fog lines through the crossings to help delineate the roadway edge. And for the DPW to paint a crossing envelope, I can't say that I'm specifically an expert on this, obviously, with hash marks to, again, clearly delineate the area crossings. And one of the things that the traffic engineer, who was with US DOT, suggested was installing what they call an inter-track fencing between the two lines that cross in the area, which they say has been effective in other problem sites. And that's the quick update. But again, this is a...
Can I just piggyback on that?
Sure.
I just want to remind, I know that I talked to Rick about this, but the owner of Lynch's Tavern, Bill Lynch, Townie, offered to, in any way, financially, and he offered his property if people want to, if the town wanted to install lighting, because he's right there at the track where they'll go, but he offered any help that, so if you could let, the police and the DOT know that he'd be more than willing to help, because there is there's a perfect location on that to put some overhead lighting, and that's one of the things that they wanted to do. And he actually offered, there was a while back when I used to work at Tricky's, and he offered some financial help too, so, because he's as concerned as everybody else is about the accidents in front of his establishment, so. So thank you, Bill.
Good, sir. Rick, is that done for you?
Yes.
Thank you. What's left is a motion to enter. Is there anything else the board would like to talk? Yes, Ken.
I'd like to have some things on the next agenda, things we've talked about, but we haven't been on the agenda. We still need to do our goals and objectives, our board's goals and objectives. I think we're kind of falling behind in that, but one of the reasons why is I actually had our state rep ask what our boards, because our state officials, our elected officials, want to help, but they kind of want to know what we need. So if we can come up with our goals and objectives sooner rather than later, I think that would be very helpful. And the surplus schools, we should be acting on. I thought that was going to be on this agenda. I think we really need to do something about those and be prepared to take a vote. And I have feedback that the charter that's online isn't updated. It's not the current one.
That's what someone mentioned to me the other day too. So we'll take a look at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I don't know if I should be saying this, but the Town of Abington Facebook site I saw was updated 3 times on March 6th, so whoever did that, that's very impressive. However...
Don't get used to it.
No, exactly. 3 times on March 6th and nothing since, but at least that's a start. So people, myself included, use Facebook a lot, and if you see it come up, so if we can keep the progress, keep it moving forward, I would appreciate that. It's very helpful.
Anybody else?
The little things.
Nope. So, current motion to enter the executive session for the purpose of discussing proposal of easements of 441 Summer Street and for the purpose of collective bargaining to update from the town manager and to discuss update of existing contract with the town manager as an open session would have detrimental effects to the town position and not to return to open session.
Can I just point out, Mr. Chairman, that those specific collective bargaining agreements are the managers group, the DPW group, and the police, just for the record.
Thank you very much. Motion to move into executive session. Jim?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Bob, yes. So motioned. We'll move to executive session.